Hello everybody and welcome to Strasbourg for our November session. This week it's all been about budgets and money, the euro, the usual stuff that we're hearing in the press at home. I'd just like to give you a little bit of a perspective of how it's going here in the European Parliament. You will have read that the European Parliament has consistently voted for an increase in the European budget. This is of course the case, although I personally and my Conservative group, we have not voted for an increase. We have consistently voted against it. But we're now in the position where we're getting close to an agreement. And we have Mr. Cameron coming to Brussels this week. And today we had a long debate in the Parliament about the preparation for that event. And it's been very interesting for me because I've had a group of constituents from the Southwest with me this week, and they were very interested to hear what was being said in the chamber. And I think sometimes people don't believe me when I tell them that we have MEPs calling for huge increases in expenditure. So they've now heard it for themselves. So we have what is effectively the difference between those that we might call the givers, as in those countries who give the most and end up putting more into the European Union than they get out, and those that we might more generally express as the receivers. And we, as yet, see no agreement between those two groups. It rather frightens me to think that we're getting close to the point where we have to actually come up with a deal, and the two sides are moving almost further apart. The latest proposals from the Council this week have been to cut a further 25 billion from the budget. This is good news, but it still brings us 70 billion away from the position that David Cameron, our Prime Minister, has been looking for, which is a freeze in real terms. So still a long way to go, and the negotiations start tomorrow. So what goes on the table doesn't look promising. So I think I can predict that there will be no deal here in Brussels this week. It seems highly unlikely to me, and that we will be looking perhaps to January before we get any deal at all on the overall amount. Now this is very bad news particularly for farmers, and as you know I hold the agriculture brief, because it means we can get nowhere towards negotiating the common agricultural policy reforms, because until the overall financial umbrella is agreed, we don't know how much is available for agriculture, so we can't agree on the various components. So I have a number of worried constituents concerned that they won't get their payments, and as we all know, particularly with the most appalling weather we've had this year, starting off with a drought and then a deluge, we've had very low yields on cereal crops, we've had difficulties with farmers still not being able to get on the land to drill. The last thing they need is a Christmas present in December of difficulties with their payments. So we're working very hard to make sure that next year they will at least have that part of the package in place. So you will know by the time you see this what the outcome of the talks in Brussels are. So I think we can talk about that perhaps in next month's blog. Other things going on here in the Parliament, well, I'm delighted to tell you that tomorrow we have a vote on shark finning. I've been working very, very hard, as you can see from my web page. I've been working very, very hard to try and make sure that we have an EU ban on finning. That means effectively removing shark fins at sea and throwing the carcass unused overboard, and only landing the fins at very, very high prices into the Chinese market for shark fin soup. So tomorrow we have the final vote which will end that practice. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm absolutely confident we're going to win that vote, despite extremely tough negotiating from Spanish and Portuguese fishing interests. I think we're going to win that vote, and I look forward to reporting that success to you in my next newsletter. So I'll sign off now from Strasbourg. Nice to talk to you again, and I'll talk to you again in December.